She's writing a Torah, right? You get that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you know what a Torah is?
Yeah.
Thank you. It makes it easier. Okay. How many Torahs are written on this planet by women?
To this time, there's probably no more than 15 in the world.
How many have you written?
This is my fourth.
Do you get that? How rare that is? There's less than 15 in the planet.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Start.
Okay. Hi. My name is Linda Coppleson, and I am a Jewish ritual scribe. In Hebrew, it's a Soferet, which is the male form of the word, and I'm referred to as a Soferet, a female scribe. And what a scribe does is, there are several aspects to it. I write new Torah scrolls. I repair and restore old Torah scrolls. I also write mezuzah. Do you know what a mezuzah is? If you see in many Jewish homes on the doorpost, there's like a little, it looks like a little narrow box that's nailed to the doorpost of all the rooms in the house. And in it is a small parchment, a tiny little piece of parchment on which is written several verses from the Torah that tell us that we should learn Torah and teach Torah to our children and to have it in our minds and hearts all the time. And so I write those little parchments as well. And so what I'm doing now is I am in the middle of writing a Torah for Temple Adat Elohim in Thousand Oaks. And I've been coming out to California. I'm from New Jersey. I've been coming out to California about every other month since last December. And when I come out, I will write some Torah, and I will write with people of the congregation and others as well, because there are 613 commandments in the Torah. And the last one is the commandment that says, write for yourselves this song. Ketov zot, write this for yourself. So from that we get the notion that everybody, every Jew is supposed to write his own Torah. Now clearly that's not going to happen. So we say that even if you are taking part in writing one letter, it's as if you had written an entire Torah. Sounds like a bit of a cop-out, but you know. Anyhow, but it really allows people to feel like they are drawn in and feel like they are part of a community when they do this. So when I go home, I continue writing. Right now, I am just past the halfway mark in the Torah. There are 62 pages like this in every Torah. Each page has 4 columns. So there are 245 columns in the Torah. And I know that I am in the middle of the Torah because, and when you come closer you'll be able to see, there is one letter here that I have written larger than all of the others. And that's because there was a note in the margin of the book that I copy from that says, make this letter bigger because this is the halfway mark of all of the letters in the Torah. So of the 305,804 letters of the Torah, this is dead center. And so I'm just past that, and I'm very thrilled. So let's talk for a second about what I use, materials that I use. So I write on parchment. Parchment is made from animal skin. This is the skin of a cow. And sometimes you can see what the animal looked like, especially on the back. You can see the colored markings from the animal's skin. Sort of clear over here, you can sort of see that this is where the backbone was of the animal. So it's, you know, it's a very natural material, and you're constantly aware of its source. I write with a quill, which is a turkey feather, and I cut the quill so that I get a kind of a slanted edge. It's like a calligraphy marker, and so I can get the variation of width in each letter. And these are wing feathers from the turkey. It's permissible to use the feathers of any kosher bird. In other words, birds of prey, like an eagle or a hawk or a vulture, you wouldn't use. What else? You could also use the skin of sheep or goats or deer to write. You could even use the skin of a giraffe, which is a kosher animal. What distinguishes a kosher animal from a non-kosher animal is that it chews its cud, and it has to have a cloven hoof, not like a horse that has, you know, a solid hoof. So any of those animals, the kosher animals, are permitted to be used. I use ink that, in the same way that the parchment is made for the specific purpose of writing Torah. The manufacturer that I buy the material from is in Israel, and he makes parchment made only for this purpose. In other words, I couldn't go to Parchments R Us and buy parchment. It might be very fine parchment, it might look just like this, but because it wasn't made for this purpose, I'm not permitted to use it. The ink as well is made that way, for only this purpose. What else? So, this is where I have been writing. I wrote this yesterday, and I started this section here for a specific reason. Every Torah, as you know, is divided up into chapters and verses. In the tradition in Jewish tradition, every week we read a different portion. It's divided, you know, according to the number of weeks of the year. There's one portion read on Saturday morning, and we go through a cycle every year. This is a section that's called Kedoshim, and in Hebrew the word Kedoshim means holiness. So this has become known as the Holiness Code. And there are some very familiar laws and descriptions in this chapter. For example, it says, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, you should love your neighbor as yourself. You're all familiar with that, yes. So that's part of it. The chapter starts out by saying, Atem tihiyu kadoshim ki kadosh ani. You should be holy because I, your God, am holy. But that just sounds like a platitude. I'm not quite sure what it means. Maybe if you thought about it for a while, you could come up with some ways in which you could do that. But the chapter is brilliant in the sense that it doesn't just say you should take care of the poor, you should take care of the sick, you should be fair. It doesn't tell you in just a very broad way the way in which you ought to behave. It tells you specifically. So for example, it says, if you're a farmer, you should leave the corners of your fields unharvested so that the poor and the widow and the orphan can come and gather. If you are gathering your produce and you drop some, don't pick it up. You gotta leave it for the poor. If you are an employer, you should pay your workers on a timely basis. Don't wait for him to go home and not be able to feed his family. So it's a very practical guide to how you achieve this holiness that it says. It says, we say that Judaism is a religion of action. It's not a religion of a statement of belief. Belief is certainly part of it, but how do you show your belief? You show your belief through the way you treat others, through your actions. So I chose this to write with all of you because there's nothing more universal than these values that teach us how to be good to each other and how to create a society that is fair. So I thought I would write a few letters with all of you.
Let's all gather nice and close. Gather around. You can actually work your way behind her.
Okay. And, okay.
You can come over here, those of you in back, there's one of these right here to see.
So, before I write every day, I have to put myself in the proper frame of mind, because this is different than writing a letter or writing a shopping list or anything like that. This is something, even though I do it every day, I have to always treat it as if it's new and fresh. Let me just take a drink of water. Okay, so I make a statement to myself. It's not a blessing, it's just a statement of my intent to be writing Torah. So because you're going to take part in doing this with me, I want you to repeat after me. Reina,
Reina,
Kotevet,
Kotevet,
Torah,
Torah,
Hazot,
Hazot,
L'Shem,
L'Shem,
Kiddushat,
Kiddushat,
HaTorah.
HaTorah.
And you said, I am writing this Torah because of the holiness of Torah. So, a couple of you who are behind me, you can put your hands on my shoulder, and everybody else should put your hands on your neighbor's shoulder, and it will be as if you are writing as well. So the next word that I'm about to write...
Break. You can touch your shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. I won't break. Okay. All right. So the next word I'm writing is bayom, which means on the day. This is the sentence says that when you bring an offering, a peace offering to God, you should do it of your own volition, not as if anybody has forced you to do this. And it says also, bayom zivchachem, on the day when you sacrifice it, you should eat it, and you should not. And on the next day, you should. You can eat it on the same day and on the next day, but on the third day you have to burn it. I think they knew a little something about food spoiling, so, you know. Anyhow, so the word is bayom, which means on the day. So the first letter is a letter bet, which sounds like a B. And then a yud. And a vav. And a final mem. There you go. Okay. So if those of you who are in the back, if you want to come closer. The people in the front should move towards the back.
Thank you, guys.
Okay. This column, and if you look, there's a letter here, a letter Vav, which is the very which is written larger than all of the letters around it. That means that that's the dead center of the Torah. So I am a little more than halfway through this Torah. I started it back in January. I actually started in December, but I started in earnest in January. And the Torah will be done in May. This is a special Torah in the sense that it is called a Vavei Amudim Torah, which means that every column in this Torah begins with the same letter. Begins with a letter Vav, which just sort of looks like a stick, you know, with a little thing on the top. So you see in these first two columns that letter is first. And so every column in this Torah will start with that letter. So what do we do with these pages when they're all done? What do you think? Sorry, I'm doing something very special, very unique. And I'd like you all to repeat after me, and then I'll tell you what you've said. Hareini,
Hareini,
Kotevet,
Kotevet,
Torah,
Torah,
Hazot,
Hazot,
L'Shem,
L'Shem,
Kedushat,
Kedushat,
HaTorah.
HaTorah.
And you said, I'm writing this Torah for the sake of the holiness of Torah. So if some of you can come around on the back, in the back of me, come on around, and a couple of you can put your hand on my shoulder, and then the rest, yes, and the rest of you put your hands on your neighbor's shoulder. Then you will be writing with me, and we say if you write even one word, one letter of the Torah, it's as if you have written the whole thing. So we're going to write the word Zivchachem. Not an easy word to say. Zivchachem means you will sacrifice it. On the day that you sacrifice it. They're talking about when you make a sacrifice of a peace offering to God, that you should do it of your own free will, not that anybody forced you to do it. And then it says, and you should eat it on the day that you sacrifice it. You can also eat it on the second day, but on the third day you can't eat it. You have to burn it, because I think they really had some idea of how food spoils. So, anyhow, so we're going to write the word Zivchachem, and there are 5 letters in the word. It starts with the letter Zion.